Happy Easter. And I will say I hate the holidays now. I've cried a lot, and I'm just gonna keep crying. So if you're part of my environment, understand I'm in a huge amount of emotional pain after what I've been through. Um, so I hope you're having a nice Easter. Now, I mentioned before, I'm going to play this game a little bit differently than probably a lot of people that have won in the past. And I think that's on purpose. I'm not going to really worry about numbers. I'm not going to crawl up anybody's faces to get where I need to be. Um, I'm going to do this in my humble role because I think that that's the way that I'm supposed to do it. And the fact that I'm climbing this hill in my feminine role, like I'm starting to understand that society is not set up to support me. And honestly, I feel like that's 90% of the problem. But do I worry, however? No, I know it's happening. It's like I can feel the energy shifting on the planet. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of changes. And I think the changes are so substantial that other things have come to watch. Now, if you haven't gone through the history of my videos, and I know that there's a lot, so I'll keep reminding people about stuff. But I was diagnosed as ADHD at the age of 5 years old. 5. It was 1989, I think. And I was part of a wave of kids that were diagnosed as ADHD at the same time. But the fact that I was diagnosed at the age of 5 is just fucking ridiculous to me. Now, you'll understand by the way that I'm functioning now, I have absolutely no problem fitting into any role within society. And now that I examine my life and go back through all of the time periods, I start to understand that those ADHD symptoms fluctuated quite vastly. And they fluctuated quite vastly based on the person that I was with. I only had really bad ADHD symptoms when I was with somebody controlling. When I wasn't co-regulated with somebody controlling in my life, I had to grow my control functions back myself. All of these are control functions. Now, to all my discombobulated right brain people, I'm sure you probably understand part of your healing journey was building these up, right? Regulating your sleep, getting on a schedule, putting boundaries in place so you can control who's in your life is all control functions. And if you bipolarized with somebody controlling in your life, you may not have them. And in building all of these skills back up, you put back your little yang button. Now let's look at life on a page again. When I say bipolarized due to trauma, what I mean is that somebody on either side has cut off the other side of their brain because they could not deal with the emotional load and the logic of what has happened in their life. So they go one side or they go the other side. Through trauma, controlling people have been conditioned and taught to cut the lines with the emotional side of their brain. All control, no emotion. There's a name for that. Now, if you've met a toxic person, you understand that they don't really get sad. They don't really get sad and they don't really get happy either. They're basically like little emotional mutes. But life requires balance. So when we had a whole ton of families that had been polarized way over here, all of a sudden they got a whole generation of super emotional kids. Surprise, surprise, balance. And that was the ADHD boom in the 80s, 2 generations down from the war. Now, because these parents had been taught to hate the emotional side of their brain or been taught to think that it's wrong, and a lot of this comes through like daddies forcing their kids not to cry. The little emotional bombs that were put into families have been demeaned for their whole lives unnecessarily. Demeaned, but fed off of. Life requires balance. And when you're polarized on this side, you actually need the other side of your brain. A lot of bipolarized people have a very difficult time being alone. And in this way, these relationships become codependent. The controlling side provides the anger and the fear, or the control, which is the outward expression of fear. They provide the anger and the fear to the emotional kid. And what does the emotional kid give back? Joy and sadness, what they're missing. It's basically enslavement. ADHD is emotion with no control. Narcissism is control with no emotion. And they attract each other like magnets. In this way, the bipolarized parent actually causes the ADHD in the kid. Narcissistic abuse causes ADHD, and I think I can prove it. More on that in holistic theories.